Hello, my name is Martin Kemp. I'm Emeritus Research Professor in the History of Art at the University of Oxford and Fellow of Trinity College. You may think a senior academic has a rather quiet and desirable life, sort of reading the odd book and going to the odd conference and pottering in the garden. This, because of Leonardo, is absolutely not what's happened to me at all. If you're involved with him, it's a pretty turbulent passage on the whole. What we're going to be looking at today is the Salvator Mundi, the saviour of the world. This very disputed painting with masses of stories. Almost daily there's some sort of story about where it is and what's happened to it. What I'm going to begin by doing is looking at the painting itself. But of course I can't ignore the fact that this is the most expensive painting in the world. 15th November 2017, it sold for $450 million at Christie's. A world record price for a painting, or it's in a way not for the painting, it's a world record price for Leonardo for participating in the myth and the extraordinary presence of Leonardo as a cultural figure. Let's ask a question initially, did Leonardo paint a Salvator Mundi? The answer is yes, almost certainly, or he certainly designed a Salvator Mundi. You got two red chalk drawings at Windsor for the drapery. He's still manoeuvring the drapery a bit, but basically preparatory studies for the Salvator Mundi. Very typical in red chalk is Leonardo. The other one which suggests it's a famous painting is copies. And what you can see here are serried ranks of copies. I think we're now up to about 50 of them. And because it was a prestigious image, it was much copied, and that indicates that early on it was regarded as something very, very special. The first documentary reference we have of it is in the list of the possessions of his rascally pupil Searle, who stole anything that was not tied down. But Leonardo had a great affection for him. He died in 1525, which is 6 years after Leonardo, and he had a series of paintings, seemingly Leonardo or maybe good copies of Leonardo in his possession. And one of these pictures in 1525 is called Uno Cristo in modo di uno Dio Padre, a Christ in the manner of God the Father. Rather a nice title was God the Father was often shown blessing and holding a globe. So this is imagery which has migrated into the Salvator Mundi, which wasn't the title of the picture at this time. What I'm going to do is to look at three aspects of the picture as a picture to say this is why it's Leonardo and it's not somebody else. This is not standard connoisseurship, it's actually got a lot of content. The first one is watery hair. Leonardo was a great studier of why things looked like they did, and he had a theory about the physics of hair, as I call it, and he compared it with water. If you've got a rushing column of water, you've got the direction of the water, you've got the weight of the hair. Water hitting water revolves in itself, and hair curls because of its curling propensity. And in both cases it makes a helix. Leonardo knows the physics of hair. If we look at one of the copies, the copyist, rather about the best copy of the picture on the right, doesn't really understand how hair curls, how it works. It curls for the use of rather than really got a structure. Leonardo, being Leonardo, has to classify the spirals, a convex one, a flat one, a concave one, and a rather muddled up one. And this is very typical. Nobody else did that. They just didn't think it was worth that kind of level of investment. The second aspect is the crystalline sphere which Christ holds in his left hand, which is recognizable as a sphere of rock crystal. It's not glass, it's not bubbles in glass, it's rock crystal. And it's got lots of inclusions, as they call it in geology, little spaces when it's being formed under enormous heat. This is a little bit of rock crystal I have, which compares rather nicely with the crystalline sphere. This becomes of interest was it introduces a new content. Salvator Mundi is the saviour of the world, and previous Salvator Mundis hold globes, or maybe even a proper fully formed globe of the earth as such. This is the crystalline sphere of the heavens. It's the outermost reach of the universe. There's nothing beyond that other than heaven, which we can't really know. So this is a very characteristic move and enhancement of the subject matter of the picture. Raffaello on the ceiling of the Stanza della Segnatura here, you've got a Urania who's looking at the crystalline sphere of the heavens with the signs of the zodiac, which Leonardo obviously doesn't do. But this is definitely the sphere of the heavens and not the earth. The third argument detail is how the eye works. Leonardo has to ask about everything. How does it work? Why does it do this? How does it look like that? His model of the eye late in life comes from Islamic science, from Ibn al-Haytham, and it's a very complex optical instrument which refracts the light in such a way that it will form an image. He looks at the primary ray coming straight into the eye and saying that registers most clearly, but there are lots of other rays which come in, so you've got a blurred edge. You don't have an absolutely definite knowledge. He writes at one point, the eye does not know the edge of any body. That's to say, you never see anything absolutely, perfectly clearly. And if you look at late images by Leonardo, these have what is often called sfumato, this smoky or blurring effect. It's not Leonardo's word, but it's become rather entrenched. And here you've got the Salvator Mundi, this very soft, elusive depiction of contours, and a detail from the St. John the Baptist and the Louvre, exactly the same. This is optical ambiguity, but it also is spiritual in that it's evoking a world we can't see. Christ and St. John know the secrets. And he wrote, I leave the definition of the soul to the minds of the friars, father of the people, who by inspiration possess the secrets. I let be the sacred writings, for they are the supreme truth. I don't have any irony in that. There is a realm we can't know about, and it's this realm which this ambiguous glance that St. John and Christ, the Salvator Mundi, share, that so the elusiveness is spiritual elusiveness and optical elusiveness. Again, none of the people who follow Leonardo get that at all. Recent stories. I'm not going right back to the discovery and first sale of the work, but looking at the incident which brought it before Christie's. What happened was that the Salvator Mundi was in the free port in Geneva, owned by Yves Bouvier. This is a port in which things can change hands for money without tax. And one of his customers was Dmitry Rybolovlev, the Russian oligarch, and he sold the Salvator Mundi to Rybolovlev for $127.5 million, which, given the fact that Bouvier paid $80 million, is rather a big markup. By accident, Rybolovlev got an idea how much Bouvier was paying for these paintings and how much he was charging him. He decided to sell the Bouvier pictures, including the Salvator Mundi, which came up at Christie's. And here we've got a shot of the auction at Christie's. It's pure circus. The people on the telephones phoning in bids, the auctioneer pausing as if it's sold, and it's conducted in an incredibly theatrical manner. It's not so much a quiet auction as a piece of financial theatre. What happened to the Salvator Mundi? It was meant to be exhibited in the 2019 exhibition in the Louvre to celebrate the 500th anniversary of Leonardo's death. It was due to come, they had a space for it, and it didn't come. What happened was that the Louvre undertook a scientific examination of the picture, which appeared very briefly as a small book in the Louvre bookshop, but went off sale as soon as they decided they weren't going to show it. Very rare book. I've got a PDF, electronic version of it, which is rather a rare thing. And the technical examination gave full weight to it being consistent with Leonardo. The book says the examination of the Salvator Mundi seems to us to demonstrate the work was indeed executed by Leonardo. Where is it now? There are guesses. Probably the best educated guess is it's owned by Mohammed bin Salman, but we can't be certain. As a historian, I want documented fact. And if you said, do I know where it is? The answer is I don't, but it's something that's worth looking at here. How about that? It's not, as you might imagine, actually the real thing. This was made for an earlier event at the British Academy. Anyway, it's the best we can do at this moment.